Good morning. Can people hear me okay? Thanks, Zoe. I'm happy to chat if anyone has anything they'd like to discuss before we officially start. Heather will be joining us shortly, I have no doubt. My break was busy, lots of marking, and then trying to get the materials ready for weeks 9, 10, and 12, which ones I think I'm responsible for. How was yours? Yeah. We're a team, we're not in competition. That's that as a cop-out answer. The answer is I have no idea. Officially, we should be giving you some feedback on assignment 1, so kind of generic stuff. And then we're going to be looking at assignment 2, and particularly, I think, how the criteria are different on assignment 2 to assignment 1. Actually, Heather's just sent me a copy of the PowerPoint slides for today, so I shall open them up and see what she has included on them. So in fact, Heather has got on her slides, she's got some information about some support sessions that are coming up. And she's got some stuff about the curriculum and the focus this week, which is on the curriculum. She's got something about LinkedIn. She's got stuff about assignment 2. And yeah, then it's all about assignment 2. And here she is. Hi, Heather. Good morning.
Hi, Peter. How you going?
I'm good.
And we've already got some people on board, some early birds. Wow.
We have. They've been asking us what we're going to cover today. So I just went through what was on your slides in terms of headings.
And they all stayed. Good.
Yeah, I have had some students say that they really want to come in just for the assignment stuff.
Yeah.
But,
could one of the students that's on already, could you just put your hand up? I just want to check to make sure my panel is working properly. Okay, someone did. Oh, Amy. Amy, do you have a question that you want to ask, or were you just doing the right thing?
No, I'm just helping you out.
Thank you, Amy. So it works. Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
that means I set it up properly this time with you actually as a co-host rather than having to
Yeah, very
add you
good.
later on. I know, I'm learning.
You're learning. I'm impressed. Did everyone have a nice mid-semester break? Cool. Good. Thanks, Amy. I made the huge mistake of taking my children to the Royal Easter Show, and I'm never going back.
Why was it a mistake?
Oh, it was a hellscape, Peter. It was a hellscape. I go, no, Zoe, not a rookie error. I go all the time to the Easter show with my children. I didn't go last year because it was cancelled, but I didn't go the year before because I was working overseas. But I go all the time with them from when they were babies. And this time it was ticketed because, I mean, you had to buy tickets online because they apparently restricted the number of people that could go. But I've never seen it so busy. There was no crowd control or social distancing or people in charge of how many people could go into one of the pavilions. And they took away heaps of the chairs and tables, so you couldn't actually sit down and have your lunch. It was horrible. Yeah. So I've quit, Zoe. My show years are over. Yes, we got show bags, Zoe. Well, I didn't, but my children did. Yes. Oh, I got one show bag. There's a rock candy, you know, boiled lollies, Peter. That British like the boiled lollies. There was a boiled lolly show bag, so I got that.
So good for your teeth.
I haven't even eaten them yet, but when I do, I can already feel the sugar creating cavities in my mouth.
I've still got left over from Halloween or whatever it is, a whole load of zombie Skittles, which apparently do taste absolutely disgusting.
They sound disgusting.
I want some yeah. I gave some to the school office as a thank you gift.
Oh yes, you did, because I ate some of them.
You obviously didn't eat the zombie ones.
No, I don't know what it was, but I ate something. Yes. And also the other thing that upset me was the reason I go to the show, because they're agricultural shows, Peter, is that I like to see the animals. But you couldn't really get up close and personal with them except for the chooks, and I hate chooks and ducks. I hate them. And I wanted to see the sheep. That's why I go, actually. I'm very specific. I go to see sheep. And we couldn't see the sheep because, you know, probably COVID and stuff. So, but I did see some moron try and feed a cow some hay through their nose, because they obviously can't tell the difference between a mouth and a nose. I'm guessing they've never seen a cow before. And the owner had to run up and say, like, can you leave my cow alone? Anyway, I've got a little bit of, I think I need some counselling about my experience. So very good, Zoe. Was that Zoe that wrote that? Or Amy?
Zoe.
Zoe. Have you washed your face? No, you haven't.
We want to meet your child. Get your child to say hi.
Elizabeth, come here.
Hello.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Are you
Oh
not in
my-
school today?
No.
Lucky you.
It's a staff development day, so they don't have to. They go back tomorrow. Oh yes, thank you, Amy. Amy says, "I'll see you at Ush." She looks like Anna from Frozen. Thanks. Is Anna like a hypochondriac extrovert? Mm.
What's that?
Yeah, she cut her hair. Amy, she got her hair cut yesterday. I did cry a little bit, but so Peter, in case you don't know, a couple of your students in 1048 work at after school care at Stockton Public School, and Elizabeth goes to the Stockton Public School after school care, and they know her from there. So
Hi, everyone.
my daughter's not shy.
We can
All right.
tell.
Brush your teeth.
Face
wash your
washing
face,
time.
and get your iPad. Off you go.
Bye.
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 Okay, see you later. Yes, Amy, I did tell the hairdresser to cut it below the shoulders, but obviously we all have different understandings of what below the shoulder means. So it'll grow back. Elizabeth loves it, and you know, it's her body, everything else. So it's your hair, Lily.
Is Lily short for Elizabeth?
In our house it is. It's not usually, but my mother-in-law, when we called her Elizabeth, my mother-in-law just started calling her Lily, so it kind of stuck.
Got to keep the mother-in-law happy. I do love this closed captioning and the errors it makes.
Oh, I don't have the closed captioning up.
Oh, I've got it on mine. Who can see closed captioning?
Oh, yeah, I've got it now. And it's completely wrong.
I've started using it for doing interviews.
I beg your pardon?
The automatic transcription thing that Zoom does, it does save a lot of time, because it's much quicker to correct the errors than to transcribe it from scratch.
Peter, someone just wrote on Retroboard that they can't access the template for assignment 2 for the annotated bibliography. There's a permission error.
Okay, I'll go and have a look at it.
I just entered student preview to see if I can see it. But did anybody else go to the Royal Easter Show? Am I the only schmuck?
Yeah. Well, it's available.
Yeah. Who asked that question? It was anonymous, but I can download it, and in student preview. I just reply. But that sounds like a Blackboard error.
Yeah, it's just downloaded for me, okay, in preview, then student preview mode.
Oh, Zoe, have you set up a Facebook page, have you, for the course? That's great, Zoe, thank you. I don't mind that Facebook pages are set up. I know some of my colleagues mind it. Some of my colleagues have a very big problem with students setting up Facebook pages. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good. The difficulty is making sure that doesn't become a slag fest, if you still use that term.
As if they would slag us off, Heather.
Exactly right.
Direct feedback, that's what we want.
Thank you. If you're going to slag us off to our faces. But I think they can be very good groups, and they can actually last for a few years. And I know students that have set up lots of Facebook groups and use them once they're even teaching, and it's a good way to stay connected. So I don't have a problem. Slagging off means criticising in a nasty way. You know, like saying things like, can you believe that Heather was wearing a navy blue top today? She looks terrible in that. So you've got 219 members, Zoe, that's good. So I hope it's a good group for you guys.
Where'd you get 219 from? I'm saying 135.
Because I just went onto Facebook and typed in the group.
Ah.
I can't see it though because it's a private group and I won't join it. I'm asked to join either, Zoe, but I don't mind that you have these groups. Oh, Zoe, sorry. Hi, Zoe. Talk away. Sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just wondering, so some people have received notes on their assignment and some people haven't. Is it they were just small notes, but for the people who didn't, does that mean that it's okay and just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, everybody should have received notes, Zoe.
I
If you
I
didn't-
checked and I only got my score. It was a good score.
Okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. But
Excellent. No, everyone should have a score. So
Yeah.
if you are in that position, everyone should have comments. So if you're in the position that you haven't received comments or that you can't see them, because maybe
yeah.
some tutors might have written them in a different part to others, could you please ask your tutor this week during your tutorial, where can I find my written comments? And if there's no written comments, just send an email to IntroToEd and let us know, and we'll follow that up for you. But
Okay.
absolutely every student should have comments written in their assignment.
Thank you so much.
That's okay. We want you to have comments. I can see that Brianna has said notes were in turn it in. So yes, because this is your first semester, you may not know exactly where to look for comments. And I know that some different tutors put them in different spots. So just ask your tutor and definitely get in touch with us. That's for everybody.
It's 9 o'clock.
Okay, let's get started then. So I was just reading Easy Retro. Okay, let's get started. I was trying to navigate my mouse. Sorry. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can everyone see the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
All right, let's leave it there. Okay, so hello everybody and welcome to week 7 of EDUC 1038 and EDUC 1048. We hope that you have had a good mid-semester break, maybe a little bit refreshed. Now a lot of you work extra hours or have additional care responsibilities, particularly those who've got school-aged children. But welcome to week 7 and I hope you're invigorated. Yes, Emily, can I help you? Can you unmute yourself, please? Emily, did you want to say something? Because you're muted. Okay, I'll just give Amy permission to. Amy, can you talk, please? You can talk.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding the assignment. I'm not sure if you guys were going to run through it, but if you could you please do that?
Yes, we will. We are going to run through the assignment today.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
yep. Hold your assignment questions if you don't mind for a minute.
Cool. Thank
You're welcome. Can you still see? What can you see now? Can you still see the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. Just my computer's doing funny things. Okay. So yes, Amy, we will be covering that today. Thank you. Emily, okay, I'm going to, no, doesn't matter. Okay. Okay. So welcome back. As I was saying, let's have a look down the line. Okay. So what's coming up next? Don't forget that at 10 a.m. where Melanie Innes is running the Building Successful Pathways program for first year students. And this week, it's a really important week. We have Teaching and Research Support Librarian Michael coming to speak to us about essential tips for searching for the library system, including databases and journal articles. This is really relevant to your assignment 2. And I think you'll find it's a worthwhile session. We have the library coming every year for first years, and it's quite a good session. The Zoom link is there. It's also in the email that Melanie sent to you yesterday, and it's also in all the first year stuff. It's the same Zoom link every week for Building Successful Pathways, okay? So it's at 10 a.m. It's a fabulous session. And don't forget, all of our first year experience sessions are on both at Arimba, Callahan and online. And tomorrow night we have the Bring Your Kids Along session with me that I run. You don't have to have kids, you have to be able to put up with them for a couple of minutes. So come to that. And don't forget also that they still have those the past sessions that are aimed to be peer support for studying sessions. So come along to that. So what are we focusing on this week? This week we kind of look further into schooling, and with a particular focus on, you know, what is the curriculum. If you asked 10 of my colleagues, what is the curriculum? You'll get 10 different answers. Such is the complexity of the topic, okay? So answers will range from what the syllabus says to teach to everything that happens within a school context, learning and not learning and so forth. So Peter really steps you through those kinds of different curriculums and what they mean, and then also what it means officially. So for example, well, what is the Australian curriculum? And in education terms, the Australian curriculum is new, it's young. It was first piloted up in 2011, that's only 10 years ago. And so some people are still getting their heads around what it is to have a national curriculum. And so we also look at the early years learning framework. I'll get you in just a second, Dylan. And even if you are not an early years teacher, an early years educator, sorry, you will find the early years learning framework really important to know about, because it tells you where your students have come from to when you get them. Okay, so take a chance to have a look at the early years learning framework. As a high school teacher myself, I love to read the early years stuff because it can actually give you some ideas about how to engage students. Dylan, I'll let you put your hand down. If you want to ask a question, just put your hand back up. Okay. And Peter poses a question, what does the curriculum look like into the future as well? Do we have any questions about the course content for this week? This is possibly one of my favourite topics to talk about. I think it's really important, and you can learn all sorts of different things. Yes, Amy, could you unmute yourself, please?
I hope this doesn't sound silly, but my understanding is that there is a curriculum that is set and you have to base your programming around that curriculum. Is that right?
That is correct, especially in New South Wales. There is a very set curriculum that you must follow. Now, we commonly call that in primary and high school a syllabus. So what New South Wales did is they got the Australian curriculum and they decided to still set their own syllabus. So New South Wales and Victoria do that. They said, okay, Australian curriculum, but we're special. So we're going to set our own syllabus. So when you go to teach primary or high school in New South Wales, you will go and still get a New South Wales syllabus, history K to 10, for example, English K to 10, and you will teach from the syllabus. But other states, such as Queensland, Northern Territory, took the Australian curriculum, took the outcomes from the Australian curriculum and said to the teachers, yeah, this is what you're teaching. So different states approached it in different ways, but definitely in New South Wales, there is a very prescriptive content curriculum for you to teach. Yes, that is the case.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's okay. But looking more generally at what curriculum means, it's also a broader term about what is curriculum. And so Peter looks at that in this week's activities by looking at, well, what is the hidden curriculum? What is the enacted curriculum? What is the perceived curriculum? So there's all sorts of different ways to look at it from a theoretical perspective. And that's where the jargon or the meta language in education can get a little bit confusing. Because on the one hand, we do have the curriculum, so what you are teaching to your students Monday 9 a.m. But you also have this broader idea about, well, what are we really teaching our students? Okay. And I'll answer your question, Phoebe, and then I'll give you an example from this course to help you out a little bit more. So yes, Phoebe.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Phoebe.
Hi. I've been sick for this last week's or 2 weeks, so I haven't read any or done any to prepare for this week. But wouldn't you also stage like the curriculum around like the economic or just the area you're in? So you wouldn't teach a book based on a country living sort of thing in like Sydney, opposed to like doing the same in reverse in somewhere like Stroud or Gloucester.
Yeah, Phoebe, that's an interesting question that you pose, and different people have different answers to that as well. My idea is that I think it's important to expose students to things that they're not familiar with. So in fact, you know, on the one hand, you've got Dewey, who says, John Dewey, start with what the student knows, and that's really important. But I think our job as educators is to inspire students and to get them to see what's possible. So start with what the student can know or can imagine. So if we're only selecting texts that are pertinent to that student's very small context, we're really limiting their opportunities for imagination and for stretching their intellect and their knowledge base. So, I mean, that's why we still teach Shakespeare, for example. No one talks in Elizabethan language anymore in their day-to-day life, or no one that I hang out with anyway. But yet we still feel it's important to teach students this Elizabethan era text because it's stretching the student's imagination and it's stretching their broad knowledge about being a citizen in the world.
Yeah.
But having said that, Phoebe, you know, if you're going to, this is an argument against the Australian curriculum, for example, that was made. For example, if you're in Sydney and you're in Western Australia, Perth, do you both need to learn about Blackson, Wentworth and Lawson? Okay. Do you really need to both learn that crossing the Great Divide opened up the New South Wales pastures to farming?
Yeah.
You can say yes, but someone in Perth might say, but that's not how Perth got colonised. Perth didn't get colonised from exploration like that. So we're teaching students things that aren't relevant to their local context. So it's a tricky
that's
situation.
Sort of what I was trying to go off of.
Yeah,
It was tricky. Something I read, I can't remember where. It was just like the terminology, like a kid in the city is not going to know farming terminology compared to somebody like, and it's going to be very like somebody in the country might know city terminology, but it's going to be something American based because they've watched a TV show. Yeah, possibly. And I would say a lot of country kids don't know farming terminology either. Only those country kids who live on a farm would know it. So it's even when you're in the country, there's country kids and there's town kids in the country. And the town kids are often looked upon as city kids. So they wouldn't know the terminology either. So it can get tricky. I was watching a short report last night about Dareton Public School. So Dareton is a very small town, population approximately 2,711 people, close to Mildura on the Victorian border. And they've had a very, very difficult time engaging their students, and it has a really high ATSE population. They've had a difficult time engaging them with learning and with what is the purpose of schooling because they haven't found it relevant. So the principal who came from Byron Bay a few years ago to Dareton, imagine that, from the coastal town of Byron Bay to the middle of Whoop Whoop, he then changed the schooling context
structure. So now they have yarning circles. Now they're learning through their own L1 language of the people around Danton, as in that local Aboriginal language. So recognising that actually sometimes these structures put in place from the curriculum aren't going to help students learn, then teachers can be innovative and exciting and change things and make it relevant to those students' learning. So what's happened as a result in Danton Public School is that attendance rates have gone up significantly. Kids actually come to school now because they find that it's relevant. They've engaged the local community so that the local community, the parents and the elders, see that schooling has a purpose. And also they did what a lot of schools in New South Wales seem to be doing. They got a support dog. So support dogs like a Labrador, who are naturally calm, can, well, I mean, they're excitable, but they're naturally friendly, can support the students who have anxiety coming to school, and ensure that, you know, things, when there's a dog around, often it calms people down a lot. So there are ways, and I think it's important that the curriculum, as a broader term, not the syllabus .1.1, what we're going to teach on Monday, can have impact on students. To kind of respond to what you're talking about, Phoebe?
Yeah, it was just something I read and I go, okay, as I said, I've been sick. I haven't done anything.
You sound a bit sick, Phoebe.
I do have a letter, Peter. I'm coming to class. I'm not sick enough to stay at home, but I'm coming to class. I've got letters. Yeah, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for engaging with this topic, Phoebe, because it's quite complicated. So are you primary school?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
quite
want
complex.
to do special ed too.
Ah, good. Okay, great. I mean,
Special ed wants to do special ed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, education is really complex, and I'm really glad that you can see that, and that you can see that there's different, you know, different ways to teach and different content things to teach students depending on their level of interest and on their backgrounds and so forth. I think that's really important. And that's one of the criticisms, by the way, of testing like NAPLAN, is that it's this blanket test to every kid around Australia, as though they're supposed to all know the same content at the same time. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions about, you know, curriculum broadly? Kayla, how are you going?
Hi. I was just kind of wondering, I don't know if it's completely related, but like when I look at the curriculum, it seems kind of like broad, and I was wondering how you like cater to every single student, you know, that has different needs and different ways of learning.
It's difficult, Kayla. I'm going to just say that it's difficult, but it's what we call differentiation, okay? And at risk of fobbing you off, because I'm not, you will learn about differentiation in your second year in particular and during your psychology courses. But you're right, there is a syllabus to follow, and it can get complicated when you have students in your class, of course, who are a wide variety of skills, talents, abilities, about how to make all learning relevant to all students. And so there's lots of different tools that you can use that you will learn about during this 4-year degree. But differentiation, and I think it's in your textbook, if you're interested in looking at it before you look at it formally in your class next year, has it on about page 177, has a lot about it, to about page 300, and then page 311 has it again. But page 177 to 84 in particular will help you get an idea about planning for differentiation, okay? And that's not a bad little chapter to have a look at.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. Is there anyone else with some questions about the curriculum and what it looks like into the future and what it is and those kinds of things? If you're particularly interested in curriculum outside of the syllabus dot points, I really like the work of Postman and Weingartner, okay? And they have a book I'm just looking at my bookshelf at the moment. I did lend it to someone and I may not have got it back, but I can't see it right now on my bookshelf. But there's if you're interested in this topic, I really recommend you read Postman and Weingartner, The Subversive Education as a Subversive Act, or Ira Shaw, Deschooling Society, or Freire, anything by Freire, like Teachers as Cultural Workers, for example, to have a look at those kinds of books or readings, because it gives you a broader idea about the purpose of schooling and curriculum from a more theoretical perspective. So I know some of you are really interested in that. The optional readings for this week are by Apple. Michael Apple is really good. I think he's probably one of the people I read the most for curriculum issues. And he talks about things like official knowledge and official curriculum and hidden curriculum as well. So for those of you who are particularly interested in extending, here I am differentiating learning, extending your learning, then those authors are good. And you can always email me and ask me who were they again, I can tell you. What I wanted to tell you before was I said I can use our course as an example of different types of curriculum. So for example, at the 1 level, the purposeful and active curriculum here is that you were given at the beginning of the year or beginning of the semester a learning, what do you call it, a course outline, which is essentially the syllabus for our course. So it says week 1 you'll do this, week 2 you'll do this, up to week 13. And so reading the readings, coming along to class, doing the content, that is the syllabus, that's a curriculum, okay? But really what Peter and I have got going on behind the scenes is our kind of a little bit hidden curriculum, but we've tried to make it not hidden, so you see what we're doing, is to get you to develop independence as a learner, to encourage you to engage with us through the Easy Retro board, through this Q&A, to give you direct access to your teacher, which is us and your tutors, of course. So to kind of, and then the purpose of the weekly activities is then to step you through what should you really be doing, because normally in a course, you just get dumped with a lecture that you come to and engage or not engage with, a tutorial and a reading that you may or may not do. But what we've done in this course is we've said, this is what it looks to be a university student. So you won't get this in other courses, but what we hope is that what you'll learn in this course about how you learn and how you study and how you approach your courses, you'll take with you to your other courses. So we're making visible what's usually invisible and what students actually often struggle with and causes them to fail or drop out. So that's the purpose of having those weekly activities, which you might think are annoying because you've got to do all this work, but actually in the end, it creates less work for you, more work for Peter and I to prepare it, because it would be a lot easier just to dump stuff and say, well, you're at university now, do what you want to do, it's up to you. But instead we are making visible the learning that you should be doing. So that the hope is that you will learn from that. And next year when you're doing another course, you'll go, when I did that in 103.8, 104.8, this is what I had to do to be successful, the Cornell method of note-taking, annotated bibliographies. I'm going to do that in this other course, so I'll experience the same kind of success. Does that make sense? Hopefully. I can't see anybody, but hopefully it makes sense. Although 2 people just dropped out of the session, so maybe it didn't. Okay. Oh, I can see some things in the chat. Sorry, I haven't been reading the chat because it's too hard for me. Okay. Are there any other questions about the content from this week? Okay. Moving on. Hopefully your LinkedIn profiles are going well. You might have gone onto Twitter. Thank you for those wonderful students who helped me in my battle against Dr. David Roy to have a photo of your pet with the textbook. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I think David Roy won. He may have cheated, but I'm not going to make that accusation against him I say that to do it to his face. But thank you for everyone who took photos of our textbook with their dog. I appreciate it. Did you see that fight going on, Peter? No. Okay, and you're muted anyway. So keep going with your professional networking and Twitter and LinkedIn. It's good for you into the future. Okay, what did you all come here for? You came here for assignment 2. Finally, Heather's got to it. Okay, so assignment 2 is due at the end of week 10, which is Friday the 14th of May.
Yeah, the 14th of May.
Yep, at 11:59 p.m. So do we have questions about assignment 2? Okay, Ella, please unmute yourself. How can I help you?
Do we have to in-text reference in our annotation writing?
Let's take a look at what the assignment says. I like to go to what the assignment actually says, okay? Oh, can you see my screen? Oh.
Yeah.
Can you see?
We can see PowerPoint. We can't see anything else.
Okay, can you now see the assignment 2?
Not yet.
Oh.
Now I can.
Now we can.
Okay, good. Phew. Okay, so here's the assignment 2. Let's have a look at the template. So this top box, put the full APA referencing in the top box here, okay? Now, because you're doing an annotated bibliography, if you're talking about the reading or the source, sorry, within that source within the summary panel, you don't need to in-text reference that unless you're doing a direct quote, and then you should, okay? But down here where it's a critical reflection, yes, you should do in-text referencing when you're referring to an idea that's not yours or a direct quote as well, okay? And then again, put the references here. So if we have a look at the criteria sheet, APA 7th referencing 2.3, it says both in-text citations and references at the end of the text. So yes, you should be using in-text citations where it's relevant. Does that answer your question, Ella?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because sometimes in the annotations, I'm researching on other websites to find out about the article. Would I need to reference that? Oh, I mean, in-text reference that if it's on the annotation?
Yeah, absolutely, but there's no need to do that because you should be just using the source to annotate. But if you are using an external source to support your argument, absolutely you must in-text reference that.
Cool, thanks.
But there is not necessarily a need to do that. I just want to be clear. The six sources is enough.
Awesome, thanks.
Thanks, Ella. Does anybody else have any questions they would like to ask? Natalie, and I'll come to you, Jessica. Hi, Natalie, could you unmute yourself and maybe put your video on if you can?
I won't put my video on just because I'm outside, but I had a question. Are you able to do like a brief run through of exactly, like not exactly what you want, but like sort of an idea of what you want us to do in the assignment, or is that too much to ask? I don't know if that's possible.
Yep. So, do you want me to walk you through the assignment instructions and template? I'm happy to do that. Is that what you're asking me to do, Natalie?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I'll just answer Jessica's question, and then we'll do that. Okay. Is that okay?
Awesome. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks. No worries. Okay, Jessica, how can I help you?
Hi. I just had a quick question about it. Is it kind of like, is it set up the same way as the core notes where when we do the annotated bibliography, it's kind of like note-taking form or not?
No, an annotated bibliography is in paragraph form, is in, sentence proper. Yeah, it's not note-taking. It's definitely a narrative.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to talk you guys through the assignment instructions. I know I can see some hands up, but I just want to talk about the assignment instructions first, and then I'll come back to those hands if that's okay. So Dylan and Aaron, I can see, oh, Dylan has his hand up now. So when's it due? Let's have a look. Can you all see the assignment brief on my screen? Peter, can you see the assignment brief?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes, yes.
Okay, so it's due week 10, Friday the 14th of May at 11:59 p.m. and it's weighted at 35%, which is almost double what your Cornell method note taking was valued at. I think it was 20%. So think about that in terms of the level of depth you need to go into, and also it's a longer assignment. So what you have to do, let's have a look. Part 1, choose whether you're going to focus on early years, primary or secondary education for this assignment. If you're secondary, but you want to do early years, that's fabulous, that's fine, we don't mind. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So select that focus and then note your choice on the templates document. Then you need to choose an issue, a current issue, okay? So possible ones were the curriculum in the 21st century, NAPLAN, my school website, high stakes assessment, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students and communities, and that one that I just spoke about, Dareton Public School. It's super current. It would be really interesting to do something on that. The Australian Professional Standards for Teachers, mobile phones, online learning, anti-racist and multicultural education, digital technologies, inclusive education. So if you're interested in special ed, inclusive education might be for you. How should schools change? When should children start informal education? Appropriate approaches to teaching or pedagogy, and a provocative statement is schooling focused on teachers rather than students, or your own topic. So there are lots of topics for you to choose from. The caveat is it needs to be relevant and it needs to be current, okay? So we're looking for issues that are current. So we're not going to go, what's the introduction of Australian-based textbooks in 1915 a good idea? We don't care for this assignment because we're talking about current issues, not historical ones, okay? So really think about what's something that interests you. There's lots of topics we've spoken about this semester so far, many more to come, but this is your career and this is your profession. So you should be interested in something about education. You should be keeping up to date in the media about what people are saying about schools. So hopefully already in your mind, you've got, I'm really interested in X, Y, Z. I'm going to do that for my topic. If you choose something that's not on the list, ask Peter or myself, or just check with your tutor to make sure that it's relevant, okay? And if your tutor says, I'm not sure, ask Peter and Heather, then ask us in our IntroToEd email and we'll answer you straight away. So that's part 1. So that's the topic. Don't spend lots of time on this either. Just choose something so that you can go with it. We're just asking you to do one assignment, not a whole thesis on it, okay? So choose something, move on. Part 2 is create annotated bibliography. Let's go back up, there we go. So select 6 sources, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that are directly relevant to your current issue. These must include, one source must be a news item published from 2019 onwards, so current, from any reputable media. Now, of course, reputable media is a little bit, what does that mean? Yes, you can use the Sydney Morning Herald, the Australian or ABC or something, or the Guardian or the New York Times. So something that is recognised as being a professional media organisation, and it's of reasonable length and depth. So don't have an article that's 2 paragraphs long, something that's actually got like a feature article that actually has depth into it, and you can get an argument from it, okay? So an academic blogs would be acceptable, but a tweet would not, for example, okay? So something from The Conversation, that's an academic blog, that would be acceptable, okay? But, one of my latest tweets about whatever wouldn't be acceptable because that's not a news item, and there's good. The second source, so one source must be a course reading. Go through the course reading list. We've tidied them all up in the library system as well. So it's current what those are. Now, some people will say, well, you don't have anything on inclusive education per se. Okay, fair enough. Find something else within that you can link in from the optional or the required readings. Okay, so that one will require you probably to draw a bit of a longer bow, but you link it in theoretically somehow would probably be an advantage. Two must be peer-reviewed journal articles. Okay, what is a peer-reviewed journal article? Peter and I have both answered that question a couple of times on the Blackboard discussion forum. So click on the question that asks that and click on our answer. The library can help you with that as well. But basically, a peer-reviewed journal article is going to be any of those articles that you find in the library database. All of the journal articles that we have on our course readings are peer-reviewed. And what peer-reviewed means is that an academic wrote an article, thought they had a fabulous idea, sent it to a journal and said, hey, I've got a fabulous idea. Will you print my 5,000 words? The journal then sends it to two other people, two other academics, and those academics read it and think either it's good or it's not good, or you can make some changes. Changes are generally made and then it's published. So we know that a peer-reviewed journal article is not just the world according to Heather Sharp, but it's been verified by other academics and scholars and researchers in the field. Okay, that's why we want a peer-reviewed journal article. So it's not just some crazy academic going off about something or other. Okay, it's actually been verified by their peers. And that can't be a course reading. Okay, so those two sources are not course reading. So you actually have to go and find your own stuff, which is why the 10 a.m. session today will be super relevant, or go to one of the learning support workshops, of which I provided a link for you in the email I sent out last night. One source must be one of the virtual school visit videos from week 8, which is next week. Okay, and those links, if they're not up now, they will be up very soon. Okay, and one source must be a still image, such as a meme, political cartoon, infographic, or other similar image that is publicly available. And you must provide a working link to the image or include the image in your assignment. My preference is always to include the image in your assignment. It just makes it easier for your marker, but it's up to you. But it must be clear what the image is. So someone emailed us the other day and said, the link I've got has 10 different images on it. How will I know, how will I tell the tutor which one is the one I'm talking about? Well, copy and paste it into your assignment. It will help with the proper attribution, proper APA referencing for that. So that's the 6 sources: a news item, a course reading, 2 peer-reviewed journal articles, virtual school visit video, and a still image. That's it. Choose them, and then using the assessment 2 templates document, which we put on before, write one entry for each of your 6 sources. So one entry for the news item, one entry for the course reading, one entry for each of the peer-reviewed journal articles. That means 2 entries, one each. One entry for the video, one entry for the image. Okay, and they should be about 225 words long, give or take 10%. Okay, so that's it. 6 sources, 225 words for each. The template walks you through that. Okay, then part 3, you've done your 6 annotations. Then you come to the last part, really similar to the Cornell method. Remember, we did the note taking for the Cornell, then we had that critical summary. Part 3 here, critical reflection on your issue. Write 450 words, give or take 10% of your chosen issue. Okay, and this should include an introduction. We're even mapping it out for you. Okay, it includes an introductory statement about your chosen issue and how it relates to becoming a teacher. Why is this interesting? Why is it interesting now? Why is it a current issue? How does it impact you as on your journey of becoming a teacher? Number 2, draw explicitly on your annotated bibliography. So in your critical reflection, actually refer back to those 6 sources. I would expect that in a really high quality, high distinction, you would draw on all of them at least once, okay? Even if that's as an in-text citation. And then 3rd, provide a well-argued conclusion or summary of your views on your chosen issue in consideration of the literature, okay? So sum it all up for us. Provide that critical reflection. And then again, part 4 is that self-assessment, responses to the brief against the rubric for the assignment. So look at the rubric, mark yourself against it, and then make any edits or changes that you think in order to bump up your marks further. Okay, so that's the assignment. Next week we'll go through the template, but that is the brief. I can see there's lots of hands up. So if you've got a question, I'm going to take questions now. Okay. I'm going to go first with Dylan. Good morning, Dylan. How are you?
Morning, everyone. How are we doing?
Good, thank you.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So my question was on the last piece of evidence, the still image, and like it kind of answered it there, but it seems like compared to writing 225 words on like the reading or an article, it sounds a lot more difficult to write that for an image. So I guess like some pointers on where to look for it or like what to look in it, things like that, if that's all right.
Okay. Yeah. So an image, well, you know, the famous song, "A picture can paint 1,000 words."
Yes.
But why can't I paint your face? Well, I think an image can paint 1,000 words. So, you know, last week when we had the equity image where we had the people standing on the different boxes.
Yes.
So you could really talk about how that's a reflection of equity.
Yeah. Okay.
So look at the image and what is it saying? If it's a political cartoon, for example, identify who are the politicians being depicted. You might say, this is Education Minister Trudge being depicted as a silly goose because he's insisting on another teacher education review, even though there's been 117 already. So describe what's happening in it.
Yeah.
Tell us what the perspective is of the person making that image, and then link that to your current issue.
Okay. Yep.
And we can, I'll actually just note down that question, Dylan, and I might talk about that in greater depth next week, okay?
Yep, no worries.
Because it's an
All good. Thank you
important
very
topic.
much.
That's okay. Image deconstruction, just writing that down now. And I will talk about that next week.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Azelle, how are you going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Have a nice mid-semester break?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks.
Good. How can we help you?
I just had a question. So when you do an entry for each source, the 6 sources, what does the entry like mean? Is it like a summary of the source, or is it like linking to like a certain topic?
Yep. So it's you're only dealing with the source you're dealing with in that entry, and it's linking it broadly to the current issue that you're talking about. But what we really want to have for that is kind of like a critical summary of what is that source talking about. What's the perspective and what's the angle?
Can I throw in, if people look at activity 713, it does have a thing that tells you exactly what an annotated bibliography should include, and it takes you through the sorts of things that you should be addressing and how you should be linking it to the issue that you're addressing.
All right,
So
awesome. Sorry, I haven't looked at that yet, but I will now, so thanks.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks, Peter. So yeah, activity 713, we'll step you through that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Alex Lang, how can we help you today?
Hi, in the entries, are we being evaluative at all, and how the source like supports our argument? Or
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
But the real critical part does come in part 3, the critical reflection on your issue. But for those students who get that high distinction mark, it is important to do more than just restate what you've read. And that activity in 713 will help guide you through that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And you're all going to be taking a sample annotated bibliography with you to your tutorial this week, so you get some feedback from your peers there as well. Thanks, Alex. Anthony.
Hey, it's just a quick question. I think it's pretty obvious, but just want to make sure I'm right. The still image, can that be like, I know back in the day, the Daily Telegraph used to have political cartoons in it. Is that the type of thing we're looking for? Or
Anthony,
can that be
back
used?
in the day, and still on the 19th of April 2021, they still have political cartoons. Every newspaper has political cartoons in every edition. And yes, that is absolutely a fabulous image to use.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love political cartoons, by the way, just so you all know. Okay, William, how can we help you today?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Probably going to be answered anyway if I tune into the next Zoom call going in. But with the peer-reviewed journals, how can we make sure that they are peer-reviewed?
Yeah,
Or
great
like,
question,
is there a
William.
way to sort of filter those?
Yeah, good question. I must have been clear before when I said if you go on the Blackboard discussion forum for assignment 2, we've answered that question with an example with a link.
Oh, okay.
So take a look at that discussion forum, and it's there.
Okay. No worries. I'll look.
Yeah, good. Because it's got links to it. That's all. They can explain it better than me in 2 seconds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And it's
No
even
worries.
got. It's even got a. If I look at assignment 2, the second question by Grace Salter is databases to find peer-reviewed journal articles. So it's right there, and we've answered that question with links and so forth. Okay.
Okay.
And thank you. And in fact, the answer was students have access to 45 education databases through the university library. And then I've said my ones that I go to are EBSCO, ERIC, Taylor and French, and ProQuest. So they're ones that they're going to know pretty good. Thanks, William.
I've put a link.
No worries.
I've put a link to that discussion forum in the chat.
Thank you,
thank you,
Peter. Okay, Amy, how you going? Yep, I've allowed you to talk now, Amy. Sorry.
Sorry if this is a stupid question, but I
stupid questions, Amy. They're my favourite.
I just don't understand what you mean when you say to draw. I'm trying to find it. Draw on the annotated bibliography. Is that the right part?
Yep. So yeah, good question. Actually, that's probably an example of flowery language. So thank you, Amy. So what it means in part 3.5.2, draw explicitly on your annotated bibliography. What that means is refer directly to what you've written in your annotated bibliography. So you've written these 6 sources. Now in your critical reflection, use what you've written in that critical reflection, which may include some cutting and pasting of your ideas, which you don't need a reference because it's been your annotated bibliography. But we want to know that your critical reflection refers to explicitly what you've already written in those 6 sources.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that wasn't a stupid question, by the way. That was a good question.
Okay, cool.
Emily, how can we help you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. I just had a question. Sorry if I'm like kind of speaking a little funny. I just had my wisdom teeth out.
Oh gosh, how are you going with that, Emily?
It's pretty painful. My face is pretty bruised and everything.
Yeah.
But I never have to get them out again, which is good.
That's true. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah. This might be a little bit silly, but I just wanted to know, with the annotated bibliography, so you're basically putting what you would write for an annotated bibliography into like the template part?
Yes.
Perfect. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Great. Good. I hope you're on some hardcore drugs, Emily.
I am. It's helping a lot.
Good. Excellent. Okay. Take care. Kayla, can we help you, please?
Hey, so I saw that you want like a source from 2019, like as the latest. Is that for every single source or just for the
as the earliest? That's only for the media source. That's only for the news item.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you want it to be relevant and current.
Okay.
Thanks, Kayla. Good question. Ella, can we help you?
Hi. I'll just double check. When it says explicitly, does that mean only draw from the sources that you had in the special?
No, no, explicitly doesn't mean only. Explicitly definitely means directly from, but there is no need for you to have any other sources other than the 6 that you're required to do. So there's no need to get any more of anything into that assignment except for those 6. But when we say we want you to draw explicitly, it means every single one of those 6 needs to be included within that critical reflection.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's all right. Good question. Does anybody else have questions about the assignment at this stage?
Heather, we've had a question in Easy Retro about will there be an example put up like there was for assignment 1?
What do you think, Peter?
I hate examples, but students love them.
I like examples. Well, then the students love them and we want our students to love us, Peter. So how about I put up an example of 1 annotated bibliography, not 6, just 1. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. I'm just writing a note down for myself. I'll get onto that. But also the links that we've given them somewhere also provide examples. So, but I'll find one from last year, and a good one from last year, and put it up. Are there any other questions about the assignment at this stage? Or about the course?
I think it's worth flagging to folk that the criteria for this one have changed very slightly from the last assignment. So particularly around evaluation, there are now more boxes that you can fit into, and hopefully that those extra criteria statements give you a kind of clear idea about what progression looks like in terms of providing better evaluations. So it's worth having a look at those and looking at how it's changed relative to the previous set of criteria. I'm also about to post something in the chat around a tool I found which is free that allows you to see whether you're using flowery language or not. So I'm going to post a link to that in the chat in a minute.
So someone asked if people have asked both on Easy Retro and on here about being a Q&A next week. I'm happy to run a Q&A next week. Hopefully you are too, Peter. Like next week is the school visits, which means traditionally no lectures and all that kind of stuff. But I think the Q&A is a little bit different. And I wouldn't mind having a chat with you guys anyway about your assignment and also about if you've already done one of them by next week. So yes, I think we will have a Q&A next week. Well, not I think, we will have one. Tanisha, how can I help you?
I actually had a question about next week, and I was a bit confused why there wasn't any tutorials on the Tuesday.
Yep.
Is that, can you
There's no tutorials for any, there's part of the course setup, Tanisha. Normally we would go to visit a school, we would physically go and visit a school, okay? But because of COVID and we didn't know what was happening and blah, 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 last year we had them online. This year we're having them online again, okay? So, but the whole idea is that of the course is that we then don't have any lectures or tutorials for the week because you have to go to visit a school. So instead we've got some activities to do and an online visit instead, which we give you the links to. Okay. So that's why there's no classes next week. And instead, well, we will still have the Q&A just because Peter and I love you all so much.
I just wondered because it's my birthday on Tuesday, so I was like,
oh,
do
awesome.
I get the day off? Or?
You definitely get the day off. Take it.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Zoe, you've said no EDAC classes at all next week. None for 1038 or 1048. Your other classes are still on as normal for whatever other courses that you do, but there's no EDAC 103 or 1048 classes next week at all. We will just continue to run this Q&A. Okay, and that's it. So people are kind of asking, how will you get to those online videos? They'll be up on Blackboard. If they're not already, they will be up by the end of today. Let me just go into student preview mode.
They're not there yet.
Not there yet. Okay, I'll follow up on that. So we'll be up by probably the end of today. Yep. What's new information, Dylan? No class. No, it's not new information, Dylan. If you go to your learning schedule, that's the way the course has been set out for the entire semester. I'll just get that up, but it's definitely not new information as far as I'm concerned. So I'll just share a screen with you if you like. Can you share screen to share? Okay, can you guys see? Get my mouse to work. Can you guys see the learning schedule here? Okay, that's the learning schedule. And if we go down to week 8, it says really clearly takes the place of course content and tutorials for this week. No readings this week. Okay, so that's been up since forever. And I've emailed the learning schedule to everybody. It's on Blackboard. So I'm not sure that it is new information. Sorry that you think it is, but this is the way the course is always run. Can you not see the learning schedule?
I think the confusion is that some people think that there are no courses for tutorials for any EdUke courses, but it's only 1048 and 1038 that doesn't have tutorials next week.
Yes, that's correct. We don't talk about other courses here because everyone runs it differently. Okay, Azelle, yes, do you have a question?
Yes, I was just gonna ask, how we have for one of the sources we have to have a peer-reviewed journal article.
Two, yes.
Yeah, you've got to have 2. Is there any databases that are specific to education that we should have a look on? Because I know there's lots of databases.
Yeah, there's lots of databases. I answered that question on the discussion forum. On
question,
point number 2 by Grace Salter, and EBSCO, Eric, Taylor and Francis are all really good ones to use.
All right, cool. Sorry for asking the same question.
No, that's fine. It's complicated when you're first starting out with this kind of stuff.
Thank you.
I might say something that Peter doesn't agree with. I don't know if he's going to agree with this or not, but if you're using your computer on the campus, university campus, and you're hooked up to the university internet, what do you call it? Their Wi-Fi. And if you use Google Scholar links directly to our library database, by the way. So Dylan's asking the question, did you say you were giving an example of how to lay out an annotated bibliography? You're given an example in activity 7.13 about how to lay it out, but I'm going to give you an example of an annotated bibliography, one section later on today. Yes. Jim, there was an error. Thank you for picking up that error. The learning schedule has been updated and it definitely says Friday the 14th of May now. But yes, the original one said May the 9th, and that was an error because some people can read calendars, some people can't. And it was probably my error. So it is definitely due Friday, May the 14th, Friday of week 10. I think when I made the date, I looked at the wrong year. So my apologies. But, if you have it ready by the 9th of May, good for you. That's great. Thank you, Anthony. I don't mind being wrong every now and then. Okay, Emily, do you have a question?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
I just had a question with the assignment and the news item source.
Yep.
I'm looking at NAPLAN and standardized testing, and I was struggling to find a news item that wasn't 2 paragraphs like it says not to be.
Really?
Yeah, that was from 2019, 2020, or 2021.
Wow, I'm surprised because there were lots and lots of stuff about NAPLAN last year, during the pandemic, because it got removed. So if you go to the conversation, they've got a really good article from the 1st of December last year.
Okay, that's what my next question was going to be. I've used that article. I wasn't sure if that was a news item though.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes. And that's a good article to read, to use, I think.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Emily. Jessica, how can I help you?
Hi, I just got two questions. So one of them is about the assignment. So I was also thinking about doing that plan.
Yeah.
And a lot of like articles do talk about COVID-19. Is that allowed? Are we allowed to talk about that in our
Absolutely. It's super relevant.
Yeah, because like it didn't happen last year and yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think talking about impacts of COVID-19 on education is really relevant. Super current. It's still current. So yes, please use that.
yeah. And also my other question is about the virtual schools.
Yep.
So are we going to get sent a link about it or?
Yep. You'll get sent everything as per usual.
Okay.
And it should be up by the end of the day.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome. And Azelle, did you have another question?
No, I didn't. I don't know why
Okay.
my hand is back up. It's all good.
That's fine. Chelsea, how can we help you?
Hello.
Hi, how you going?
Good, and you?
Thank you.
I just have a question. Are we going to have an end of semester exam for this course?
No, no end of semester exam. If you look at the learning schedule, we have 3 pieces of assessment. You've already done the annotated. You've already done the Cornell method. We're now doing the annotated bibliography. The 3rd assignment is due during the examinations period, but it's an assignment and it's already available on Blackboard. There's no exam here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Emma, please go through the curriculum for assessment 2. I think you mean criteria. And Emma, sorry, I'll do that next week. And Azelle, did you have another question? No, your hand's
Sorry, I don't know why my hand keeps going up.
Okay, cool. No worries.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's 10 o'clock now. There's still a few of you on, but I would encourage you to go to the Zoom session now for the Building Successful Pathways and speak to Michael, the research librarian. Peter, do you have a minute to hang on and talk to me?
Yeah.
So goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming along today. We appreciate the great questions you've been asking.
Bye. I'm going through and manually removing people.
That's what I'm doing, Peter. Some people might have just gone away and not realised we've finished.
Oh, it says there's still one attendee, but I can't see who they are.
No, can I?
That's intriguing. Mm. That's odd.
Mm.
Maybe we should go out and join a Zoom session because this is being recorded anyway.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do that then. Okay.
Okay,
Will you
send you a
Zoom me
Zoom
in a
link.
second? Okay, cool. All
Yeah.
right. See